Welcome to Cozy Room Podcast. My mommy Shan.
Hey!
My sister Ari.
Say hi, Ari.
Hey. And I'm Anya.
Let's go! Hey, this is Shan, mom of the girls. Thank you for checking in. If this is your first time at Cozy Room Podcast, welcome. It's a very random but frequently posted show. Enjoy what you can when you can. It's for new parents. Y'all are very welcome. It's for second, third, or more time around parents too. And I did not forget those of you who aren't quite there yet, haven't had your first kid, but you're thinking about it and you're just curious on what it takes to go ahead and survive the kids that you may make. Cool. Since we're all here, let's get into today's episode. Welcome back. It is the Cozy Womb episode 2. And the topic is what in the postpartum English postpartum. You heard about it. You seen it on the internet. You find it in interviews. But if you haven't been a mother, you haven't given birth, you probably have no interest in it. Or if you've been around someone who says that they experienced it, maybe you may know a little bit about it, but the main point is what it is, what it's said to be, and what it feels like is depression occurring after the childbirth. Okay? All right. So I can talk about this because I feel that's what I had after. There she goes. You heard it. My second kid, Ari. First of all, I think the vibe was off before I had her. But then after I had her, and I think my mom was here up until, I want to say 4 weeks after I had her, and then she left. She moved back to Florida. It was only me, Ari, and Anya. And first of all, I wasn't getting the best sleep before that. And after my mom left, I wasn't getting the best sleep. And I went back to work. So I'm just like, this child wants to eat 3 times at night. She wants to eat during the day, around the clock. She just cries, or she sleeps, or she eats. And it was just me. And at that time, my mom and our relationship wasn't the greatest. And she, left on bad terms with me. And I was just like an unspoken thing. And I just caught myself in all types of nonsense. And that's Ari, but we're going to ignore her because she still has a whole thing of being cuddly with someone in bed. And I'm just like, girl, you have your whole room to yourself, your whole bed to yourself. You got blankets, you got pillows, and I know I just fed you. And she still wakes up 3 times at night to eat. It doesn't matter if I put cereal in her milk. It doesn't matter if I bathe her before I put her to sleep. She just feels the need to be up 3 times during the night, unless she doesn't take any naps. And she's still going ham in her room, wanting me to go get her. Lord. So what I wanted to go through is what I experienced, which was hella moodiness. You know, some days I was in a good mood. Some days I wasn't. I remember early on, like the first and second months, Ari would cry. I would be exhausted. And I'll just be sitting in the living room texting her daddy or calling him or texting my cousin, telling them that, hey, if somebody don't come get this child, she's going to be in her swing with her bags outside waiting for somebody to pick her up because I just do not have the patience. And she's still in her room going ham unless I put her in my bed next to me. Let me go get her. Pause. Give me a second. Jesus. All right, we back. Yes, and she's in my bed next to me. Yeah, so, you know, that was frustrating. I was stressed. There was lots of mornings, days, afternoons, nights of me being in my car in tears, mind elsewhere, and my kids in the back, and I'm just driving to a destination that I knew when I was at home. But in that current state, I didn't remember where I was supposed to be going. It was horrible. I wouldn't wish that type of feeling on anybody. I was super stressed, crying for reasons I knew, crying for reasons I didn't know. And I would just be at work in tears, having to take a break, come back, just upset, sad. You know, it was a hard time. Postpartum is nothing to play with. You know, there's problems with me bonding with her. Like, don't get me wrong, I would take care of her, make sure she was clean, make sure she had a clean diaper, she ate. But as far as like making a connection to her, like, oh, this is like me, or I used to do this, or Anya used to do this, there was no connection there. And that was hard because having Anya be such an easy baby, and then have Arya be completely different, it was a huge adjustment. Shush! She's so greedy, like, dog. Shush. Alright, we back. So she clearly finished her food. But we're going to continue with no interruptions. Don't be pulling on my arm, Ari. So, you know, that was a struggle. And I thought, you know, after I had Ari, and at least 2 months after, I would be able to grieve without affecting her stress-wise about my uncle passing away. And I couldn't even do that because I was already stressed from Ari, and then me having to go to and from work. Where my uncle passed away, the hospital was right there. So I had to pass it, and every time I would hit a certain exit and have to pass it every day, I would just be bawling in the car to work. I'll be bawling in the car coming from work. And all to come from work and have to be in mom mode as soon as I turn the doorknob to come in my house. And it was really hard to do. You know, when you are married, when you are in a relationship, or if you're single, I think going through postpartum is a hard thing to do. And, you know, Ari's dad will come during the day before I went back to work on his break to see Ari, spend some time with Ari, and then leave. You know, he was still slightly depressed, but he was getting a little bit better. And then when I went back to work, you know, it was cool. And I loved being at work because it was a break away from being really hands-on with Ari, and I didn't feel a connection. or, you know, me not having enough energy, or me being super stressed, and then Anya wanting my time and not being able to balance that. And our dad was really good about, coming to my house and staying at the house with Ari so I could go out and have some time with Anya and take her to the park, where Anya didn't feel like, oh, now there's a new baby, so my mom doesn't have time for me. So he was really good about that. Super grateful. And you really need people around you that want to help you. My cousin was really good about keeping Anya, for a few hours outside the day so I can relax, or so I could get some sleep. And the times where our dad would help out so I could nap in the same house. It's like, this is super hard. Like, I thought I was gonna get a break after I gave birth to her, but no. Fast forward, we became cool in the 4th month, but the 1st month, the 2nd month, and the 3rd month, with me trying to breastfeed while being stressed, impossible. Women, you will not be able to produce enough milk for a greedy baby if you're stressed. I tried everything. I tried herbal teas. I tried the supplement. No. I was stressed. You got no milk. Welcome to the formula life. Be easy. And Arya didn't care. I got those bottles that were kind of like breast nipples. She didn't care. As long as she was getting food, she was straight, which was a breeze. So yeah, I only breastfed for 3 months. Same thing with Anya, only breastfed for 3 months. Anya felt like she had teeth when she didn't have teeth. And Ari was just too aggressive. And I was like, no, we're not going to do it. Go ahead and let's get these bottles popping. Okay? Another thing with the postpartum, you have to balance it out properly, especially if you have multiple children. Because I caught myself like snapping at Anya about small stuff, or being really like out of patience when it came to people taking their time around me doing things. Like, I could not stand it. If I needed something to get done, it had to get done in a certain manner. I remember taking the girls with me to get the tires changed on the truck. I would recommend, when you have a newborn and you feel a lot of stress, to have good people around you. Because I had so much stress going on when I went back to work, I looked up, girl, shh. I looked up, assistance and what I could do to get rid of some of my stress. And I was talking to a friend of mine. Shh, it's not your turn to talk. And she recommended that I go see a therapist. I was like, I've been needing to go to a therapist years ago, and I've just been putting it off. Like, that's something I will do. That's something I will do. Well, whoop-de-doo. It was a perfect time to go because I needed to talk to someone who was unbiased, who didn't know about the people within my life that I was dealing with, that could give me like a fresh lift off of what I should do, or guide me in the right direction to deal with everything I was dealing with. I went to church. I found a Methodist church near my house, and I went back to church, which was an experience in itself with the girls, because I just felt really lost on what I needed to be doing at that time. And it felt really good to be in there, especially coming from a background where both of my parents were into 2 different religious backgrounds. And, my mom, becoming a Jehovah's Witness at some point in my life and me not making that connection, and I just really kept a distance religious wise from a lot of things. Always been spiritual though. I know, how to treat people. I know things to look for in people. I've always been able to have a spiritual connection, but never nothing like really religious and concrete that I ever stuck with. But it felt really good taking the girls to church and, having a better connection with a higher power that felt really good to do. So that really helped me. Me seeing the therapist every 2 weeks helped me. She was really good. Sometimes I would end up having to take the girls with me, which was at first kind of frustrating, but then they got used to going and seeing her. My schedule was just always so full. Like, I would get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, drive the opposite direction of work to drop them off at the girls' granny's house. Then drive back north to go to work past my house. Then come back. I was still working full time. Come back around 8 something past my house to pick them up. Then go back home, all to do it again. And it was just so stressful. Would you stop pulling on my lip, girl? And I did it. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And as mothers, we take on a lot of stuff. And we have to realize that we don't have to do it by ourselves all the time. None of us, how great we are, got to greatness by ourselves. Like, we had to have good friends, good family, close or from a distance, that always, considered what I was going through at the time. They listened to me if I wanted to vent. And, I took it day by day because that's all you can do. And you have to get to a point to realize that you can't skip moments in your life because it's not the greatest. Bless you. But you can always get through. And that's the key point. Whether it's a good get through or it's a bad get through, you always get to make that decision. But you just have to know in your mind you have to get through, because there's another side of the crap that you're dealing with. And that's what I did. I got through. And here I am. Ari's 10 months. We're cool. She's smiling. And she's clearly still up 3 times a night to eat. Right now, she wants to play because she's hearing me do this podcast. Sit down. And women with postpartum out there, I get it. Women who haven't experienced postpartum, not all of us have it. I didn't have it with Anya. Just so I happen to have it with Ari. It's an experience, but at the end of the day, we get through it. It's an experience that happens to some of us, but it's okay. Keep good people around you. Moments in life we sometimes cannot control. The relationship with my mom is a little bit better now, but it's completely different. And it's not because, she was here and then she left and, she couldn't be here to keep the girls. It's not that. It's more so she wasn't a great communicator with me or anyone else about how she was feeling about being here. And I didn't want her to be here unhappy. So I wanted her to be wherever she could be happy. So I guess that was Florida. I cannot be in Florida for more than 4 days. Don't know why. Don't really care. But that's cool. She want to be in Florida? Let her be in Florida. That's old people love Florida. Okay. Do what you need to do, boo. I'm just not used to not talking to her twice a day, every day. And we went a long time without talking. So I was grieving my relationship with my mom being at a loss too, because it wasn't the same. It wasn't that she left the earth. It was just like our relationship wasn't the same. So I was grieving on a lot of things while going through postpartum, and it sucked. But I'm fine now. Trying to see my therapist at least once a month now. I know what I need to do. You know. Stop saying uh-oh. Uh-oh, you're awake. Uh-oh. Shush. And, you just have to move forward. Push through. Get through that thing. They just kids. We the adults. We gotta run the show. Don't let your kids run your show. And you'll be alright. And people who do not have kids, don't be scared. Do not be scared. You might end up with an Anya. You might end up with a child that is a breeze. Happy. Always looking to do stuff. Always looking to ride with you. Be the homie in the car. Or you might end up with an Ari at the beginning. And they might turn out to be a pretty good kid. So you just don't know. Having kids is a gamble. But, you could do it. I did it. In the beginning of time, I didn't really plan to have kids. Because my mom always had kids around. My house on the block was always the kids' house on the block. And I hated it because I never got to have my home to myself. I was always sharing it with other children. So I didn't think I was going to have kids. And then, let alone 2 girls. I really wanted boys. But hey, we don't get to choose unless you got that guap. I don't got that guap to be choosing what kind of babies I'm about to have. So, it's cool. Postpartum. What in the postpartum? It's cool too. You can get through that thing. But, that's what it is. Don't be afraid. Next episode coming up soon. Coming at ya. Shush, I'm not talking to you. And it won't include this child, I promise. You can hit me up on Cozy Womb on Twitter. You can hit this podcast up on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. Do what you will. See you guys later. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Shan signing off. Bye-bye.